Good morning, Senior Pride here. Today I'm going to touch on a very difficult topic, coping with ours and others' mortality. And as we know, death is an inevitable part of the life cycle. For some it comes early, for most, fortunately, it comes later. But regardless, for all of us, the feeling of someone's passing or our own is always too soon. And the question is, why do we find death and dealing with the concept of death so difficult? Whether it's friends, loved ones, or our own selves, the mere thought causes anguish and fear and mental pain. We cope with these feelings in a variety of ways. For some, a belief in a higher power helps. For others, it's working to provide memories of their talents or their skills. It's finding a way to accomplish things. The fact is, whether we believe in an afterlife or not, death to us means permanent loss, permanent change. Someone is gone. It can't be undone, and we don't actually know what happens. It is permanent, it is unknown, it results in fear and anguish. Rarely do we know our death or the death of others, like a friend or a loved one, is imminent. And even when we do, that fear and that mental anguish exist. Most often, death is either unexpected or we believe there's, a little more time. The fact is, even when death is expected, it is very difficult to accept and to even prepare mentally for. As we age, we naturally experience more loss. Our past experiences, cultural beliefs and experiences, personality and temperament, as well as any spiritual beliefs, come together such that we cope with death in our own unique way. For some, grief is overwhelming, while for others, there are feelings of common acceptance. Again, that depends on the things that we come with. The same person may cope with different experiences of death very differently, depending on the circumstances of the loss. For example, when my biological father passed, a man who I was not close to and did not really know, I felt nothing. When my mother, whom I was very close to, recently passed, it was heartbreaking. And yet at the same time, there was a sense of she's not in pain anymore. She had frontotemporal dementia, so watching her suffer all those years was horrible, and it was a relief to see her no longer suffering. But it was a great loss, and I continue to mourn her loss. I'm certain that most of you have heard of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and her 5 stages of death and dying. The reality is that people just aren't that quantifiable. Knowing we are going to pass represents a unique challenge that we experience in our own way, whether we know because of disease or we don't know when. It is unique, and we are unique. There are differences and different kinds of challenges when someone passes from old age or very unexpectedly versus maybe when they pass from a terminal illness and we've kind of known that things were happening, for example, like my mother. There are also unique challenges when we are aging well and not knowing when our demise will come, or others. As we age, we may choose to make preparations for our eventual passing, and for some, this has a calming effect. So these preparations can include a will, they can include information regarding funereal choices, they can include leaving our passwords and bills and all the things that need to be canceled. They can involve maybe prepaying funeral and burial arrangements. There are many ways in which we can prepare for this inevitability that, again, help us to feel more calm and help our families or friends to cope more easily. But preparing, we give ourselves the license to mourn our own passing and accept the inevitability of this fact. Preparation can be stressful, but the fact is it helps us to help those left behind to deal with a very painful loss. Ultimately, we don't know when that end will come for us or others. But if we are able to reduce the stressors that we can reduce through preparation, it makes things a touch better. And the reality is that death is part of life. It is part of the life cycle. And as we get older, we do come to appreciate that through reflection and experience. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and explore. And remember, to be a senior is to be proud. Hugs.